Trust, loyalty, honor, respect can only show up your demonstration, can only be demonstrated. We as humans, as gods embodying physical reality, we can formulate our mouths to say and create anything. And indeed, what we say creates and recreates our reality. But indeed, integrity, trust, honor, morality shows up in the demonstration. Shows up in the demonstration. I greet you today, as I do every day and all days, in spirit and in the honor and on the shoulders of great ancestors for which we all now stand. But I also come to you today to deliver a message, a very important, poignant, much needed message. What are you willing to commit to spirit? Truly. Indeed, what we commit, what we state as our vocation shows up in the demonstration. We all have to live. We all have to eat. We all have to survive in the economic weather of our locations and our realities. But at the end of the day, it is soul, it is spirit, it is heart, it is consciousness that makes each and every one of us truly and indeed who we are, what we are, and speaks to our true identities, our true beings, if you will. The spirit journey is not easy. There's no shortcut to the spirit journey any more than there is a shortcut to great health, to a great career, to living a great life and raising great children. There are no shortcuts. This must be addressed. This must be walked each and every moment of each and every day. We stand in our truth each and every moment of each and every day, irregardless of titles, of names, of identities, of cliques, of things that we use within us and around us to mask who and what we indeed truly are. And you cannot mask truth. You cannot mask indeed who you are. It cannot ultimately be hidden. Back in the day, I had an interest in Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer used to be one of my favorite shows. I thought Jerry Springer was a window into America in a way that we had not seen before. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic Americans acting out often at their worst in a way that once upon a time would have been hidden, would have been tucked away, would have been sheltered. And one of the common phrases that I would hear on that show by the person who was in the hot seat, who was under the lights, whose life or story was being bared, for public display. A common phrase was always, "You don't know me. You don't know me. Y'all don't know me." And we hear it on Jerry Springer, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, all of those shows that were hot back in the day in terms of reality TV. The true originators of the reality TV that we see today, the Love and Hip Hop, Black Ink, those other reality show venues. But as a spiritualist, as an authentic practitioner of voodoo, you can't hide true identity. True identity cannot be hidden. True, authentic integrity, morality, righteousness, consciousness cannot be hidden, cannot be masked. It can be contained, it can be reserved, It can go unspoken. I don't have to say who I am, who and what each and every one of us is as a God, as a goddess, is apparent, is apparent. So whether you are the practitioner or the client, whether you are the Ianifa, the Babalawo, or the initiate and the student and the godchild, who and what you really are stands up. It is your demonstration. It is your truth. The person, the individual who's operating in spiritual consciousness, third eye open, able to see beyond the veils, it's not masked by any illusion of who you and what you truly are. Coming and going to any given situation, to any given scenario. There's a spirit. There's a spirit of the day which suggests that this is a mask, that this is an illusion, that this is somehow something. Please forgive me. It seems like once I go into these shows, greeting, peace and blessings, Imani, Sankofa, Orisha, Check This Out, LLC, Aki, Idea, greetings and welcome. It seems like once I go into these shows and I get into a deep topic, every venue starts to ring. I get DMs, instant messages, phone calls, especially when I'm trying to make a point, such as the one that I'm speaking on today. Forgive me for not being present. Please forgive me for not being here every day at high noon. I have a life. I have a ministry. I have bills I need to pay. I am with you, each and every one of you in your endeavors. And some of you are working with me privately, individually, off air. So you know that I'm ever present. Even when I'm not here doing my live YouTube, I'm ever present. But sometimes I'm motivated by spirit or the ancestors to bring a message. And today is one of those days. I'm not concerned about a whole lot of likes. I'm not concerned about entertaining you today. I'm not concerned about whether people care to be entertained in this present moment in time space. I'm here to deliver a message, a message. One about authenticity, one about truth and integrity, one about honor. As a student, as a teacher, as a parent, as a child, wherever you are in your journey, literally and figuratively, know that you operate in your truth each and every moment of the day. Each and every moment of the day, you are operating in your truth. And the world is observing you, your children, your partners, your friends and family, your neighbors, strangers, your internet contacts, the internet eye that's watching who we don't know. Every moment of every day, we are operating, we are sitting in our truth. Now, if in this moment you are not where you want to be, you have an opportunity to create and recreate your reality in the vision of God, in the vision of the ancestors, in a vision that matches what you truly seek, need, and desire. But you've got to come true. You got to come true. I'm not talking about coming to me true. I'm talking about coming to spirit, to God, to the ancestors, true, authentic, true. You can mask with me. You can play a game with me. You can recreate your identity, your name, your face, your supposed internet presence, but you can't mask that with the ancestors. You can't mask that with the Most High. You can't mask that in spirit. And indeed, you can't mask it in truth. The shortcut, some of my long-term listeners know how I feel about the shortcut. There are no shortcuts, period. There are no shortcuts. There are none. Claiming self-initiation, claiming to be born operating in spirit is not a shortcut. In fact, it suggests a greater depth of work that the individual who stands on that has to do, must do. It's implied in the statement. It's implied. And many of you are getting up off the ground, literally, figuratively, in your finances, in your health, in your personal life, in your career lives, in your criminal lives. Many of you are being reborn right now, remade. And I've said many times that I'm here to create and recreate gods and goddesses. I'm here to recreate and create masters, people who are not only self-empowered, but then have something to give, something to offer, because this don't belong to you any more than it belongs to me. This is not mine. This is not yours. This is indeed a product of spirit and the will of the ancestors. It's the only reason we're here. If you're questioning why, if you're questioning life, if you're questioning living, you are the living, breathing embodiment of the desires, the hopes, the dreams, the spirit of your ancestors. Know this. Know that there's value in your presence. Know that there's value in your humanity. And our humanity is slowly being stripped away, particularly in social media. We don't humanize each other in social media. You see me as an image. I see you as a username until you connect with me at a human level. Then we come real. Then we become authentic. Then you truly indeed know who I am. I've been told many times by people who've come here to the house, and they mean this in all positivity, no matter how heavy it might sound. But I've had many people come here to the house and say, Divine Prince, we don't know you. You think because you're doing Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and you have a website and you're in TV and movies and commercials that people see you, but people don't see you. And they mean this in the most positive way, because when they get here in this space, they are overwhelmed by truth, by truth, by authenticity. There are representatives of these traditions, royal representatives, high representatives of these traditions who show respect and honor to the Voodoo and who show respect and honor to the Divine Prince, not because of what I say on YouTube, not because of what I post on Instagram, not because of what I post on Twitter or Facebook, but because of who and what I am each and every moment of the day, authentically, here and now, in this moment in time space. If your eye is open, if your third eye is open, I am who you see. I am what I say I am. Look beyond this. Look beyond this. I have a footprint, a footprint, a footprint. I didn't start talking about voodoo yesterday or 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 20 years ago. I have a recorded, documented footprint representing this. I have a 5-star rating with PayPal. I have a 5-star rating with the Better Business Bureau, okay, because of the level of integrity, professionalism, and honor in which I work this. I wouldn't be here today without it. I wouldn't be who I am today without it. And I am grateful. If nobody else is, I, for one, am grateful. I've put out many calls in the past days, 30 to 90 days. I've offered to help, to assist, to create, to recreate. Some of you in the room know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of my new watchers, new listeners, you're just chiming in. But I'm looking for authenticity. I'm not looking for people who are not ready to evolve, to heal, to become prosperous, to become whole again, to become and operate in our God selves and our God consciousness. No one understands if I'm not present, there's nothing there to be present for. If I'm not a part, know where there's smoke, there's fire. Know that. And forgive me for talking, some of you are completely at a loss as to what I'm talking about. Others know exactly what I'm talking about. As the king and leader of authentic New Orleans Voodoo, I have a respect for how we show up in this tradition. I have a respect for it if nobody does. It's right at the door. It's right at your first communication with me. It's right at your first request with me, written or otherwise. We've got to show honor and respect, not only to each other, but to this tradition. This is not witchcraft. This is not Hollywood magic. This is not shake and bake, 7-Eleven, Burger King, have it your way. You are not going to dupe, con the ancestors. You can't. You just can't. You are not going to make a pact, an arrangement, an agreement, and a contractual agreement in writing or in spirit with me or the ancestors or the God in which we all serve and operate in without coming 100%, without coming authentically, without coming honestly, without being open. I often say that I'm at a disadvantage here because my life is already out there. All you got to do is Google my name. All you got to do is research me. I'm out there. And many of you know that. There are no secrets. There's nothing hidden about who I am, what I do, how I spend my time, what I do in my off time. That's not already online. That's not already documented. That's not already being viewed. You, on the other hand, the individual, is often coming to me blind. I don't know you from a can of paint. Often I don't know you beyond your username. Some of you are using your government name. Some of you are using your Facebook name. And I don't have time to research that and pull all that together. I can only operate with what you come to me with genuinely, honestly, authentically. Is it personal? Is it business? It doesn't matter. We're still operating authentically. If you're talking about operating with the Divine Prince, if you're talking about sharing space with the Voodoo Chief, there's no other way for me. I know no other way. I know no other way. Is it business? Is it personal? And then what is it? Be clear about what it is. It's just like prayer. Many of you are going at prayer, you know, like a wishing well of some sort, and you can't be specific about what you're asking for, about what your needs are. You are not being specific about what your world looks like, what your reality looks like. what the answer that you're seeking looks like. And that's where meditation comes in. Prayer is about asking, please forgive me. Prayer is about asking, give me a second, y'all. I am live on air. You're interrupting. All is a blessing. Give me a moment. If we're not being specific with ourselves, with God, with Goddess, with the universe, with your partners, with your family, with the people you are in business and in relationship with, then you are not putting out any clear map, any clear understanding of what response you're going to receive. This is the answer to many of your blocks. Many, and I'm not suggesting that people who are with me now in the room, I'm not suggesting that's you. I'm being very general here. If you're experiencing a financial block, if you're experiencing the personal block, if you're experiencing the relationship block, if you're experiencing the career block, if you're experiencing the judicial block, often it's about clarity about what it is that you want and you need. If you can't be clear about what you're asking for, if you can't be clear about what it is that you want, need, desire, and expect from spirit. And that's where meditation comes in. Because if you can't see it, if you can't visualize it, if you can't then see it beyond the veils and bring it into reality, then it's not real. So if you only believe in the block, if you only believe in the devil, if you only believe there's no answer, there's no solution, if you only believe there's no real love, if you only believe there's no real trust, then you are operating in that vibration and then emitting that vibration out into the universe. And that will be and should be your expectation of a response because you're not expecting a miracle, because you're not expecting a dramatic divine intervention. You're not, I do. I absolutely do get up each and every day, each and every moment of every day, not only expecting the miracle, but expecting God and the universe and spirit to do just what I need. Just what I need. What I want becomes a part of that. But just what I need. I often say, and it's an old saying here from here in the South, people pay for what they want and then beg for what they need. People will go out and spend money and buy your labels and buy your designers and feed your flesh, and eat your favorite things. But then when it comes time to getting your dinner work done, getting your health done, getting your mental health done, getting your spiritual work done, then we're nickel and diming, picking and choosing. Now we're not sure. Now we're not clear. Now we're not so open. Now we're not so tight. And spirit is observing your demonstration. The ancestors are observing your demonstration. You cannot defraud the ancestors. You cannot defraud the Most High. You cannot defraud spirit. And certainly there will be a karmic repercussion. There'll be a karmic reaction. So we've got to operate in wholeness, in truth. Forgive me for sounding preachy today. Forgive me for not coming in with my usual introduction and my long, warm, welcome greetings and salutation. Spirit put something on my mind today, and I had to speak to it. I had to address it. There is no throwing any amount of money at something on the 29th and by the 18th, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, You're expecting your life to be golden without any work, without any communication, without any follow-up. And know that if you're working with me, I'm working with the community. I'm not a single solitary person who has nothing else to do but to entertain you and be present and wait for your reading. That's why my broadcast is not on every day. That's why I cannot consistently be here with you at noon each and every day, because I'm doing the work. The work has got to be done. The work has to be done. Somebody has to do the work, has to do the healing, has to feed the spirits, has to feed the ancestors, has to work with each and every individual hands on to do this work. And that's why we, the gods and goddesses that are in this space, share this space, because we find something in unison that we can understand, that we can relate to, that we can connect to. I'm just asking you now to just do the work. Just do the work. Greetings, each and every one of you. Please, if you have questions for me, I need you to type all capital letters so that I can address it. And again, if you are presenting a question, it's going to be a group question. If you have personal questions, you need to email me. When you say, how can I better myself, I can talk about how we all can better ourselves. But to help you, to address you individually, uniquely, specifically, like any professional practitioner, consultant, healer, doctor, therapist, counselor, send me an email. DivinePrince with two I's, DIVINE, Divine Prince, at houseofthedivineprince.com. All is indeed a blessing. There's also a contact form on my website at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. And I'll be more than happy to address personal requests in a very personal way. And let me tell you, it's overwhelming. Just go to Hoodoo Central in Google. Just go to my Hoodoo Central in Google, look at my ratings, look at the comments. It's overwhelming. I cannot give you, the individual, in this format, in this context, the wealth of what I give the individual who does eventually come to me in private and then works with me. You have to trust what the comments are being said, the ratings that are being presented. I come in this space to share freely, because this is an opportunity for people to connect with me, often for free, and get some idea about what the big deal is, what the buzz is, why are they making such a big deal about Divine Prince? Why is this guy still relevant? Why is this guy still here? Why are they filming this guy? That's why I do this show. It's also an opportunity for me to answer your questions about the tradition, about the practice, about authentic New Orleans voodoo in a more specific and direct way. But to do hands-on work, I need you to contact me personally by email. And again, I welcome each and every one of you personally and collectively. If you do have a question for me, I need you to type it in all capital letters so that I can see it clearly and separate it from just normal chat in the box. Does a position matter in meditation? Golden Goddess, thank you for typing that twice, but I really need you to type your questions in capital letters so that I can see it. Position can matter for various reasons. Before I answer that, I want to say you should also study transcendental meditation. In my opinion, transcendental meditation is the most specific and detailed about explaining what meditation is, how meditation works, the various levels of meditation. So there's a stillness meditation where you're standing still, where you're being at peace, where you're sitting, whether it's in the lotus, or in a chair, and you're just being still and breathing and focusing on your breath. That is a form of meditation. And in that space, with or without we're just seeking stillness, balance, foundation, grounding. There's a higher level to that. And that's why I offer transcendental meditation as a study, a search word. Then there's a visualization that can take place, and also a conscious awareness within your meditation that can be predetermined and set while you're in that state. So you go from just being still and focusing on your breath to then maybe feeling your body, feeling where you're sitting, whether it's the ground, the chair, the rock, feeling your environment, exploring that within the context of your meditation. Then there's guided meditation. So you might lay down for guided meditation. You might do guided meditation in your bed, or on a mat, or on the floor. But I don't suggest that level of meditation for everybody at first, because some of you all are going to sleep. So sitting in the lotus position and sitting up is also a state of awakenness, awareness. It tells your body and spirit that I'm alert. I'm in a position to hear. I'm in a position to see. I'm in a position to be administered to. When you lay down, we might even say when you take that death position, the position we take each and every night when we go to sleep, when we dream, you're then signaling a different message. So you may fall asleep if you're not a more advanced student of meditation. There is a state in your dreams where you can be conscious even in your dream state. I think that's called, the word is right on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of the word right now. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but there's a state of being in your dreams, but then being, yeah, that's it. Arisha, thank you. Lucid dreaming, where you are conscious. Lucid dreaming is about being conscious in your dream state. So it could go from, okay, I'm conscious, I'm aware that this is a dream. This is not quote unquote reality, though it is reality, and that's a completely separate topic. I don't want to confuse anybody. But lucid dreaming is about understanding that I'm in the dream state. And so you might be able to change the course of the dream or change what you do. Maybe you're having a reoccurring dream and then you develop the ability for a lucid dream. And then within that most recent dream, you act differently than you had before in order to change the course of the energy that's being presented in the dream. And that's that second topic about, are dreams real or not? Dreams are absolutely real, but they represent a different reality. We exist in multiple realities simultaneously. So our waking state might be considered one dimensional space, whereas sleeping might be considered a different dimensional space that we inhabit, that's absolutely real, but is separate from waking reality. And so thus is lucid dreaming a different state of reality than just the average dream that the average person feels no control over either themselves or the events that are taking place. So now we're talking real advanced meditative state. And once people reach that level, usually they've studied yoga, they've studied meditation, they've studied transcendental meditation, and indeed Indian, meaning from India, Indian philosophy, Middle Eastern philosophy. Each part of the world, each ethnic group has brought something to the table spiritually. No one person, place, or thing holds everything in its entirety unless you're operating in your God state. And if you're in your God consciousness, it doesn't matter which tradition you're operating in. But right now, I'm just addressing Golden Goddess questions about bettering herself and then also positioning in meditation. So for the beginner, and the beginner might be from today and, maybe 5 years, I suggest sitting up in meditation, being awake in your meditative state, um, even being in nature if that's possible, depending on where you live, going to the lake, going to the ocean, going to the park, connecting to a tree. Here in New Orleans, we've got trees that are 500-600 years old. I love sitting with my back at some of those trees, absorbing that ancestral energy, um, understanding consciously that energy is being grounded, but also being released into the sky, into the air. So again, how you sit is important. It helps you also to return, to bring your spirit back into your body as you wake up, if you will, from your dream or from your meditative state. I began laying down more as I got deeper into meditation, was more aware of what I was doing, what was happening, was more conscious that I was not going to be going to sleep, but actually entering spirit space and knowing what to do within that space. So, Goddess, that's Golden Goddess, that's great questions. Um, yes, please, and continue to do the work. Uh, thank you so much for your comment. I can't quite make out your name, but I certainly appreciate what you're saying about the email and contact. I do. Uh, and younger you, greetings and salutations, beloved. Does a person's geographical location help or challenge with connecting with ATR or Orishas? I'm going to even add Loa spirit. You asked because you live in Portland, Oregon, and it's constantly cloudy, rainy, and white. And I haven't been to Portland, Oregon, but I've been to places like Portland, Oregon. I've lived in Denver, Colorado. I've lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've lived all over the country. I've lived in every state at some point. I've visited every state at some point. So I understand what you're saying. I also understand what you're not saying. Um, and it does matter. Geography absolutely does matter. I don't want to digress too much, but if we look at geography, you look at where you are, the history of where you are, the blood on the ground where you are, the ancestors that inhabit the land where you are. Um, I would expect more native, indigenous, I should say, indigenous spirits to be present, depending on where you are in the country. And of course, ancestors of those who came before in those locations. Um, Cloudiness is just weather, and that's a whole nother level of meditation. There's what I call, in my training and teaching, elemental meditation. So now you're being aware of elements. One day on camera, I did this. And I said earth, water, fire, air, and then mind or ether, atmosphere might even be a good word. And so there is a level in my teaching and training and instruction with meditation where you focus on elements, because we're all those elements. We are earth, we are dirt, we are rock and mineral in a different form, but we are earth. We are water. Our body is, I believe, 73% water. We are fire. Without your body and that inner fire being maintained at that perfect temperature, you would be sick or dead. We are air. Without breath, you have nothing. Without breath, you have no connection to spirit. And I'm speaking both literally and figuratively. For my new listeners, I speak literally, figuratively. I speak in code. I speak in several languages all at one time because there are many people here. There are many people watching. Many of you are at very different levels of your understanding. So some of you are getting a much deeper understanding about what I'm saying than others. Some of you are only getting elements. Some of you are hearing powers. Some of you are hearing forces. Some of you are hearing spells and how to maneuver through a particular person, place, or thing. Culture is also implied in younger you in your statement. Culture absolutely matters. I spent almost 10 years in Southern California. Forgive me, Southern California. I was starved for culture. Beautiful weather, starved for culture. Lovely climate, but I was starved for culture. I was starved for certain ATR, to use your word, um, grounded forces that I didn't quite connect with there. I was able to connect with alien technology there. I had my first connection and contact with, I think they call it alien contact of the fifth kind, I believe, where you actually have a contact. I had that there. Crossing Death Valley takes you into a whole nother realm of dimensional space when you're on the West Coast. So you are picking up a different frequency, might be a word. You are tuned and tuning in, but that's going to be affected by weather, where you're located, and some of those things. Now, your mind as a goddess is powerful. You can be anywhere you want in a state of meditation. I often would meditate on Africa, um, particularly when I lived in the Carolinas, when I grew up in Maryland, when I was on the East Coast, understanding that just beyond these waters is the motherland. And I would use my compass and I would be very clear about where I was focusing my energy, just like my Muslim listeners are very clear about where Mecca is and how they're focusing their energy. So that can also help to clarify and redirect from the energy that you're working with in Portland, as you attempt different levels of meditation there in younger you. Melanin helps with spiritual connection because melanin is both a product of earth and a product of the sun. Vitamin D is something that is often talked about in health. When I think of magazines, TV commercials, you hear, but right behind vitamin D is melanin. And so melanin is important because it's a product of earth. I believe there are people, I'm not getting into the Bible or indigenous um, creation stories around the world. I'm just speaking in general. There are people born of this earth, created out of this earth, out of the mud, the clay of this earth. And so that is in the DNA structure, that is in the melanin. And then the sun And those energies, vitamin D, as well as all the other things that are falling from the cosmos, nanodiamonds and all the other molecules and minerals that are falling from space, also end up in your DNA structure, in the melanin, and in the body. So melanin is critical, health wise and spirit wise, to the survival of humanity. And enough of you conspiracy theorists, that was a very loaded comment right there. But I'm glad for you. I'm grateful for you. Yes, indeed. Sage is great for cleansing. I know, beloved Edwards, you didn't write your comment in capitals, so I hope I'm not being disrespectful by speaking to what you said out loud on the broadcast. But saging is good. I think that, however, we are undereducated. You know, when we have new age, and I'm not accusing myself or any of us in the room of being new age, and particularly you, Shion Edwards. But I'm just saying, in general, in the Western culture, and you talk about spirit, people, oh, spirit, what is that? And we talk about sage, we talk about frankincense and myrrh, you know, we talk about angels, aliens, ancestors, but it's very general. There's no training there. There's no foundation there. For many of us, there's no vocabulary or language there. So you're being paranoid, and the idea that you should pay attention to your spirit is actually, or your intuition is actually a positive thing, and something that you by all means should be doing. Smudging, which is what you're doing with the sage, smudging, please forgive me, my phone tweets and goes off when I'm getting messages. And I'm sure you would rather hear bird sounds than my phone ringing, dinging, and clinging. And that's why I have that. But you absolutely should pay attention to your intuition. When you are smudging, you should be doing something, not just moving your arms and moving the sage around. There's a very conscious thing. There's a very conscious program that's going on when you are cleansing, when you are smudging. It's very specific things that you should be thinking. It's very specific things that you should be doing. It's very specific things that, okay, just let me know what's going on. It's very specific things that should be happening more than just, you know, people think, oh, okay, I can go and buy some sage. I can go and buy some frankincense and sort of do this thing. And you can. I'm just suggesting that others, not you, Shayon, but that just others, if you're going to get into anything spiritual, just know what you're doing. Just know what you're doing. Acknowledge, experience, acknowledge elders, acknowledge those who might be in a tradition, who may be doing something. Hold on for a second, caller. Who might be doing something longer than you. That's all I'm saying. Read, ask for help, get instruction. And you're doing that right now, so I applaud you. But for those who are watching, who are watching and listening, we're doing too many of these activities, too off the cuff, without any deeper understanding. Please forgive me. Give me a moment. Okay, beloved. I don't want to say your name because I'm live on camera. Say it again. No, no, you sent that to me. So maybe you hit something on your phone. That you sent that to me. No. I thought you were on your way. Is that a yes? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is that a yes or no? Are you on the way or not? Okay, just keep me posted. Peace. Please forgive me. I know that's hella rude, but please forgive me. And sometimes I gotta answer. Um, but yes, follow your intuition. By all means, you should be journaling. Something that I say quite a bit. It's a very general sounding thing, but there's nothing more powerful than journaling in terms of keeping track of your intuition, to use the word that you specifically used, but also to what's going on, what may be happening, and then what may even manifest after you do your smudging, you do your cleansing, you do your work at any given place or time. I don't even suggest allowing random people to smudge you. You know, we have certain events here in the city, and certain people have now sort of positioned themselves to be involved in that activity of smudging. Some of these people I know quite personally, have done spirit work with. I know exactly where they are. You shouldn't be out cleansing the public, and certainly not cleansing other people who are unaware of truly where you are in your own spirit practice. So the idea that your ancestors, Shayon Edwards, and your spirit guides telling you to pay attention to your intuition, pay a little bit more attention to what's going on in that activity, is quite frankly a positive thing. I think it's a strong positive message from your spirit guides that you are doing the right thing, but that you should see deeper and see beyond the veils. I can see auras. Um, Absolutely, I can. A golden goddess, and most people can with a little bit of practice and a little bit of training, particularly with the use of quartz crystal. Anyone who's actively been working with quartz crystal any length of time, at some point experiences that. The seeing of aura and seeing of colors that are projected around particular activities. Activities project a color, energy like anger or joy projects a color, intention projects a color. So a client comes, I'm for a reading, but I can see colors on them already. I can see energy on them already. I can feel that. Auras can also be felt. Absolutely. Good afternoon, Katavia. Divine, all blessed greetings and salutations. So I'm certainly here for you, Shayon Edwards. I hope I'm saying your name right. Just send me a direct email to DivinePrince, DIVINE, two I's. That's a pet peeve of mine. I don't take offense to the E, but I don't understand the E. And the E changes the energy of any word, not just my name, any word. So any name that you have, your birth name, your legal name, your username, all of those letters, capital and lowercase, have a numerical imprint, have an energy imprint. So I feel something viscerally when I see people spell my name with two E's. My name. Now if someone is spelling divine and using it in a different context, separate from me, I don't get the same response. But my name is spelled DIVINE, Divine Prince, at houseofthedivineprince.com. And I'll be more than happy to assist you. Uh, some people have a problem with my email. Usually that's the reason. They're trying to spell divine with two E's. And so I tell you to go directly to my website, houseofthedivineprince.com. And there is a contact form there, which will still inevitably end up in my email. But learning the history of spirituality is a big question. You're talking about initiating and becoming my student, Golden Goddess. To be humble and honest about it, um, you're asking, not directly, but it's implied, the history of spirituality. You're asking me to teach you what I teach my godchildren. There are numerous books that Paul and some of the people in the room who've already been working with me some time are aware of, only because of their training and study with me. Um, the history of spirituality, we'd have to look at Africa, we'd have to look at Asia, we'd have to look at India, we'd have to look at China, we'd have to look at indigenous America, from Canada to Chile, Honduras, Venezuela. We'd have to look at Cuba if we want to talk about the history of spirituality. We'd have to talk and discuss religion if we want to talk about the history of spirituality. The history of spirituality was interrupted, if you will, by the history of religion. So we would also have to discuss that. I can't tell by your icon or even your name what your ethnicity is, but depending on your ethnicity, as a godchild or a student or client of mine, we then would look at that, which is why one of my prerequisites for ancestral work is that my callers and clients and godchildren have DNA work done. DNA sells everything. Listen, people can get on a platform, on a mic, and say anything about their mamas, their fathers, their grandmamas, their grandpapas, lineages and heritages. And none of that, yeah, I said heritage, and none of that means anything to me if they don't have no DNA work. None. And I started that process with myself in my own story. I bought into the stories that my father and my family told and passed down about who their ancestors were. My mother's side of the family didn't know much of anything about their grandparents, their great grandparents, or their background. So DNA settles that for me. DNA quiets all the controversy, all the back and forth about indeed true ethnicity, true identity as it relates to spirituality. Spirituality has grown, developed, manifest differently throughout the world. And each and every one of us carries a footprint of spirituality, culturally, ethnically, in Jacob's ladder, in our DNA strands. So that's a great question. That's an excellent question. Where to start? Read everything, read everything, and allow spirit and your ancestors to direct your path. I am so grateful and honored always by those of you who choose to be present at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time, here with me for Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, with Thai Potions, Hoodoo Central, House of the Divine Prince, Voodoo Chief, the Divine Prince, here now on YouTube Live. Formerly, I did this show for over 10 years on Blog Talk Radio. And indeed, those shows, many of those shows, at least the last 5 years, are still in archive at Blog Talk Radio. But I am now have moved since the beginning of the year. All of that energy, all of that show, all of that archive, all of that presence to this now present squared circle of gods and goddesses here on YouTube Live. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful for your active participation. I'm grateful for your questions. It's the only reason that I'm here. Otherwise, I would be doing something else. I'm not here because I don't have anything else to do. I'm not here to coax up or drum up customers or clients. I have plenty. I'm here to share, to teach, to be naked, to be vulnerable, to allow you into my space, and to also be welcomed into your space. As I said earlier in the show, I am but one person with a great deal on my plate, and much of who I am is public. Much of who I am is already online. Much of who I am is already documented and recorded worldwide. I'm asking you, those of you who seek me, business, personal, be clear, be direct, be sure about what it is that you want from me at any given time or space, what it is that you need from me, and I'll be more than happy to assist you and be present for you. I assure you, when I'm doing my consultations and spirit work, my phone is turned off. This only happens when I'm doing the broadcast. I don't allow that to happen when I'm sharing your personal paid consultation time. So all is truly and indeed a blessing. Um, Chef Bougie, I really like that question. That is a great question. Um, and there's many things implied and embedded both within your question and then how I would respond to that. The first thing would be everybody has melanin. Everybody. You can't be human and survive without it. Now, some of us have a little bit more of it than some others. Some of us need it, require it, desire it um, biologically, but then also spiritually, based on who you are, where on the planet you were born, and now in this waking moment in time space, Chief Bougie, what you're doing and what you're trying to operate through. I don't care how much melanin you have, if you're still trying to work something that's not natural to you, you're going to have a problem. If you ain't Christian, Islamic, Hebraic, at the DNA level, you're trying to be something, operate in something that you're not. I'm always amazed by Nords, Greeks, Romans. I'm trying to think of all my European history is not that good. All the great Eurocentric powers and ethnic groups that are ignored in place of people seeking to appropriate mind. That's embedded in your question, Chief Bougie. I know what you're asking. And yeah, that's a problem. Now, if you want to be a tarot reader, crystal ball reader, and that should come with some training, that should come with some understanding, that should come with some expertise. But if you want to do that, great. Some of those things, Reiki, veganism, not very ethnic specific, melanin might come into play if you're looking at your diet and how much sun you're getting. But spiritual readings, listen, all of this is embedded in your question. Spiritual readings. Now, are you coming to me for a tarot reading? Or are we talking about Ifa, Akan, Fan, Eve, Igbu? Now we're talking about spirit readings that are personalized. That's why I ask all my clients, regardless of their race, to do DNA. And my white customers do DNA. If they're not in fear to come to me, they don't fear the truth that I reveal in the process. They come to me because they want the truths that I reveal in the process. So I don't care if you're talking about me, Chef Bougie, giving the spirit readings. Absolutely, everybody's required to not in just a general reading, but if they're going to work with me long term, yeah, they have to have their DNA done. We have to look at their ancestry, and then I refocus my spirit work, my spirit reading to cater to that, to cater to that melanin, to cater to that particular ancestor that's standing up before me in the person who's speaking. Um, that's a very general question, Golden Goddess, but I'll answer it. What are my thoughts on reincarnation and how to break the cycle? How to break the cycle, how to break the chain, how to break generational curses. All of that is embedded and implied in your question. And as many of your questions have been, and let me be clear, I'm not being judgmental. I love your questions. I'm not criticizing your questions. I like how general your questions are because you're doing what I beg people to do every day, which is to keep this show moving forward. If you all don't have questions, if you don't have concerns, if you don't have topics that you want to talk about, I'm going to hit in and I'm going to move on and do something else. So I appreciate what Golden Goddess and Quarter Past, Mad Max, and Chief Chef Bougie, and the many others are doing, participating in the show. That's what I want. And your general questions allow me to answer many things for many people. I absolutely believe in reincarnation. Reincarnation is not a foreign concept to Asia, Africa, or indigenous America. Ancestors stand up, ancestors sit down. Ancestors do work, ancestors lay down. Ancestors raise up who they will, ancestors will embody who they will. All of humanity, all of life, all of matter, all of the universe is cyclical, operates in a sphere, operates in a cycle, literally and figuratively. And we operate within and we operate from without. What's going on in here and then what's going on out here. How it affects us in here and then how it affects us out here. Okay, so your boss's bad mood might affect you emotionally. That's in here, but you still counting your dollars, right? You still got to get your paycheck out here in the physical world, right? Okay, who you are in here is authentic, it's true, whether you speak it or not, whether you say who you are or not, it's true in here. Okay, so some people can't see that because it's in your heart, it's in your mind, it's in your emotions. Others who are spiritually tuned, like your mama, your lover, your friend, your spouse, your spiritual practitioner, I can feel it because it's right here on me too. I can connect there too. So this sphere, and I'm using the crystal ball because it's about what's going on inside and what's going on outside, and then what's going on out here. Metaphysics and spirituality talks about macrocosm and microcosm. The macrocosm being all things in creation, all things in the universe, all matter, all wholeness, all physicality. And then the microcosm might still in that context be DNA, molecules, atoms, things that have to be looked at under a microscope, have to be studied at a molecular level. And as humans, we live and experience those same realities every day. There's that which we see on the surface. When we say, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing okay. That's surface. What does that mean? Does that mean you ate today? Does that mean that your bills are paid today? Does that mean that you're happy and you're not at odds with your spouse or your children or your parents today? What does that mean? And at the micro inner level, it means exactly all those things that I just said. And often when people ask, they don't really care. It's something that we do in a society. It's a knee-jerk reaction. It's not a real connection. Let me slow down because quarter past and a few other people, y'all are interjecting now. So much new information. I need to go back and read what I'm missing. Yes, direct and specific is our weakness. The inability to be direct, the inability to be specific. Those of you who've been watching me for 5 years, 10 years, and still ain't figured out if you should trust me or not, still ain't figured out if you really know me or not, but you've never called me, you've never tried to come by my house, you've never tried to make an appointment with me, you're stuck. You're stuck. So yes, quarter past Mad Max, direct and specific is a problem. It's a weakness, and especially for Black people, especially in our community. At the grassroots level, we cannot be direct and we cannot be specific. I'm actually on one of those dating sites right now as an experiment. And you'd be surprised how many people cannot get beyond hi and hello. And if I respond with something other than hi or hello, people are hella confused. So you say hi and then I say blessings. They don't respond. Or you say hello and I say peace. We don't know what to do with that because we exist, especially in this illusion of the internet, in this artificial dimensional space. We say greetings, we say good morning, we say, hey, how you doing? But are we really connecting? I've talked to some of you in here, I've met some of you in here, but many of you are just an apparition online. You just a smiley face with some numbers and letters behind it. And that might be your intention, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I saw on the news the other day that they're suggesting half of the internet population globally is artificial. It's bots and programs and click this and do. It's very little human interaction. And many of you are forgetting how to interact humanly. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this experiment, on this dating app. I want to communicate with people, and particularly Black people, and specifically Black men. Women have a greater grasp on communication than Black men. Black women will voice their complaint, will speak their truth, will ask questions, will say, I want something, I need to know. And that's why Black women show up as being greater empowered than the Black man often within our community. But the Black man is lacking communication. Communication. I don't care who you are, straight, gay, you don't communicate well. You don't say what you want. You don't say what you mean. We say we do, especially this more revolutionary minded individual. We think shouting truths at you, we think calling you, Sambos and Coons is somehow demonstrating our power in truth. But you can't say what you really want, say what you really feel, say what you really mean. And as quarter past Mad Max already stated in the chat, that's a weakness. That is a weakness. Real men communicate. Real men speak laws, speak truths, but also can speak their feelings and can speak their emotions. And know that because I speak my emotional truth, I'm not broken, though I might be breaking in the moment. I'm not damaged. It's an extension of your God self. You cannot be God and not be able to travel within multi-dimensional realities and spaces and return whole and return complete. The Kashmir Loves. I personally have taken 23andMe. I have also taken Ancestry.com. I suggest those. I also offer people to take tests that I haven't done so that we can get a greater range of understanding about how all these tests work. I can't afford to take every test, and neither can you. And so some people have taken African DNA, I think it is, and some of these other new tests. And I appreciate that because it gives us an understanding of how the various tests work. They are not all the same by any means. So I'm uncomfortable when people ask me to recommend one test because I'm taking as many tests as I can take, as I can afford to take, to get as much information as I can get now and moving forward. So I have taken 23andMe, so I do recommend it. And I have taken Ancestry.com, so I do recommend that. I will say that I personally have not done the health part of the 23andMe. And some people, that's one of the things they have concerns about with that test. And I haven't taken it, not that I have concerns about it. I'm just not that interested in it. I'm not that interested in what my DNA says about cancer and health related things. I kind of get a general grasp on the health of my genetics. I know diabetes runs in my family. I'm already a survivor and an overcomer of diabetes, and I'm teaching people within Voodoo how to confront diabetes. But I've only taken the ancestry portions um, of the 23andMe, and I've also taken Ancestry.com, which is primarily ancestry, history, documents like death certificates, marriage certificates, slave records, those things you will find on Ancestry.com. Now, that might be the information that'll help y'all. If you want deeds, documents, slave records, birth certificates, those things are showing up in Ancestry.com. That is not a component to 23andMe. 23andMe is more concerned about your DNA code. That's why it's called 23 chromosomes in me, because that's what's being implied. And of course, your health, who you're related to. But it's not that popular. My closest relative right now on 23andMe is a third cousin. My closest relative on Ancestry.com is my mama, my sister, my half brothers and sisters, people that I know. So Ancestry is more popular, and Ancestry has a social component in it. I can find you in Ancestry and then find you on Facebook, depending on what name you use. But even if you use a different name, I can communicate with you on Ancestry and say, hey, I am DivinePrince, and then we link up on Facebook. 23andMe is set up differently. So they're very different. So don't think, Ashna Marie, that one is better than the other. One supersedes the other. That's not true. So yeah, answering your question, I do work with 23andMe, but I also work with Ancestry.com. And I work better with Ancestry.com. I'm still trying to figure out 23andMe. Shion Edwards, please, if you're asking questions to me, you've got to type them in capital letters. You got to type them in capital letters. I'm seeing a question about virtual readings. Absolutely, I give the virtual reading every day. I give the Skype, the phone, the email reading every day. Now, people say, well, how different is that than Fa, for instance, voodoo divination, and we sitting on the ground on the mat? Okay, yes, when you're together, there is an integration of energy, just like you and your friends, just like you and your partner, just like you and your coworkers. But if you understand spirit, spirit transcends physicality, just like prayer transcends physicality. I don't have to lay hands on you. I don't have to be in the room with you to connect at the spirit level. So virtual work and divination can be done if it's authentic, can be absolutely real and true if both parties participating are open and honest in the process. Um, I hear you quarter past. It might be the fast, bruh. Get you some water and some fruit, some yogurt. I'm not disrespecting your fast because I know it's Ramadan and stuff is going on. But you know, sometimes fasting will make you delirious. And I don't mean that in a negative or crazy way, but you're now transcending dimensional space. And so some carnal things you aren't able to control. And so you might laugh and spirit might express itself freely because some of your guards aren't standing up at the gate because you've been without sustenance for so long. You said fasting, so I'm assuming you're going without food and sustenance. And so that is going to affect you. Now I know Ramadan and people eat at night, and that's a little bit different than just straight fasting. I know people who don't eat, don't drink, and indeed do that type of fast. But I honor you and acknowledge you for being able and willing and committed to doing the real work. My hat's off to you for that. Zahara, all is truly and indeed a blessing. Yes, Katavia, everyone picks up on stuff. Everyone. We just live in a world where we are not conscious of it. And for those who often claim to be practitioners of it, they're not adequately trained to make sense of it, to interpret it, if you will. I'm truly humbled and honored by each and every one of you. I didn't realize I had even been here an hour and 20 minutes. You've heard all the ringing and dinging and birds chirping. I got a lot of people waiting on me right now. I am with you. The removal of physical objects that were placed in someone spiritually, yes. Send me a private email about that type of work. Um, I'm grateful for your continued support, your continued viewership of me here on YouTube Live. I most certainly need your donations and your offerings. I can't keep my internet on, my phone bill on, my lights on, and then do this level of work each and every day without the support. So I'm grateful for those of you, my gods, my goddesses, my inner circle, Amina K, um, uh, Uncle Glenn, and many others who help to keep House of Divine Prince, Thai Potions, and Hoodoo Central alive and working here in historic Treme. I'm truly grateful and honored for you and by you. So I appreciate you. And I thank you for not using the donation button here in YouTube. Many of you got that message from me very early on. I still, as yet, as far as I know, have not received a dime from any money anyone has ever offered through YouTube. So, Katavia, you are not listening. I am not going to get a dime of that money you just sent YouTube. You're supporting YouTube for me being on air. I would much rather you support me and send the money to my PayPal, to go to my website and send your offering and your donation directly to me. PayPal.me/the Divine Prince. I don't know where my beloved Amina K is today. She usually would be typing in there for me and making sure y'all got the message. But Ashna Mahari, I appreciate you for the attempt. Please use PayPal. I'm not getting anything from doing YouTube. I don't know where any of the donations are that people have sent to YouTube in the last 60 days. I have no idea where that money is or where it's going. So I offer you to use my PayPal directly. Go to my website. There's a link there. Anytime you send me an email, there's an automatic link in my signature there that you can use. And know that I'm grateful for each and every one of you and that your resources are being used wisely and openly and transparently in a way that each and every one can see and witness and observe. I am humbled and honored by each and every one of you. I am going to have to move forward. Some of you who've been here since the beginning know that this originally started as a rant. So if you're just coming in, Uncle Glenn and everyone, please do go back and rewatch from the beginning. This started as a rant. I was on a little bit of a tangent. I had to get a message out that Spirit had pressing on my heart. And then you all started coming into the room. And I understand I have not always been consistent in being here at noon. So I'm not upset that people aren't always here on time because you never can tell if I'm going to show up. And I understand that. And I take responsibility for that. But I'm grateful for the people who did then once you realize that I'm on, you did start coming in. So go back and view the beginning of the show, encourage others, reshare this. Please reshare it in Twitter, reshare it in Facebook. Some of y'all are really good at creating these memes and cutting out pictures and reposting. I have no problems with that at all. Just be positive, don't be disrespectful, and I have no problems with people using the material in that way. But I'm grateful for you. And because of that, the show always continues to grow, always continues to evolve. And I will always be present for you and with you as much as I can, as much as my schedule will allow. I'm checking my calendar right now. Um, I should be good for tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, I should be good for tomorrow. Um, in fact, I should be good Wednesday and Thursday for high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time here with you on Blog Talk Radio. I do have a filming and a doctor's appointment on Friday, so I won't be here Friday. But I will be here tomorrow and the next day. And of course, I'm always here at your leisure and convenience, 24 hours a day. Uncle Glenn will tell you I really don't sleep. 24 hours a day. Just be respectful, be direct, be specific, and email me your request when I ask you to email me your request. Don't attempt to do business with me in social media. Again, I can't often identify, clarify, verify people's identities in Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So if you're a real person with a real request, with a real goal, I'm just asking you to email me and I'll be more than happy to assist you in your endeavors. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. I am going to end the show now. I do have to move forward, but I appreciate you. I look forward to your communications and your contacts. The Voodoo Chief does need a social life, so don't flip out because I'm in social media or because you run into me on a dating site. I'm still the Voodoo Chief. I'm still Hoodoo Ty. I'm still who I am each and every day, 24 hours a day. It's another reason why I'm doing this experiment. I want people to know that I'm who I am, authentically, legitimately, always, always. Truly, all is indeed a blessing. Until next time, ashe, ashe, oh.